Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to Ramco Systems Limited Q2 FY22 earnings conference call hosted by DAM Capital Advisors. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star then 0 on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Anmol Garg from DAM Capital Advisors. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thank you, Nirav. Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of DAM Capital, we welcome you all to Q2 FY22 conference call of Ramco Systems. We have with us Mr. P.R. Venkatrama Raja, Chairman of the company, Mr. Sandesh Bilagi, Chief Operating Officer, Mr. R. Ravi Kulachandran, CFO of the company, Ms. Gayatri, VP Finance, and Mr. Vijay Raghavan, Company Secretary. So without any further ado, I'll hand over the call to Mr. Venkatrama Raja for his opening remarks. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Good evening, everybody, and I thank you all for joining this investor call. I understand your sentiment and disappointment on this quarter's numbers. As you all are aware, there have been changes in our organization, and we now have a core management team who are now running our operations and working with our COO, Sandesh. He is also with us in this call, and he will be presenting our way forward. From a strategic point of view, I'd like to state that our pipeline and interest from our customers is very strong and growing. What has been negative this quarter is that our markets in Asia, which was our mainstay, for us did not recover due to COVID, and is also a very high-touch market where we need to be there present in implementation and so on. This hurt our operations quite a bit. And also, two important orders which were to close this quarter got postponed by several quarters. Going forward, I'm glad to say that we are in the late stages of quite a few very good deals, but we are not in a position to commit on the timing of the closures of these deals, given our experience so far in these COVID times. We are also investing in increasing our execution capacity and hiring many new technical and management talent, which will be needed to handle the deals which we are negotiating, and will also improve our ability to speed up our implementations. This is necessary given the nature of the orders and deals we are expecting. In summary, I know all of you have been quite patient, but we expect to streamline our market operations and bring in a lot more predictability. I will now hand over to Sandesh, our Chief Operating Officer, to give you a briefing, and then we will take your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, everyone. I would like to probably take you through the operations of the company for the quarter, and also I will dwell upon more on the Mr. Raja just spoke about our exposure in the market and what we see in the opportunities and operations for the coming year and more to come forward. So for the current quarter, we had flat quarter from all perspective from revenue as well as from the order booking perspective, which stood at around 19.15 in the revenue and 19.23 million against the previous quarter for the revenue. For the booking perspective also it was flat, 19.67 millions as against 19.74 for the previous quarter. And our reported net loss was 1.76 million versus 1.22. An increase was mainly due to the adverse exchange impact it had on the book. Otherwise, most of the other parameters were flat, and we remain cash neutral, and we have not borrowed any money. We are a zero debt company even now. I think from that perspective, that has been the quarter in the numbers. At the same time, we had 12 new customers which we signed. Out of them, 2 of them were the Fortune customers from the US. We have onboarded those customers, and we are sitting on unexecuted order book of 189 million, which is shows the strength what we are for the further businesses, for the further quarters. That strength is there, and also predicts for the cash flow perspective that we are on the sound footing. Underlying that numbers, what I will do now is give some more detail on indication, to give you the indication what has actually translated into that number. Pre-COVID, when we were on the whole of this journey in the last quarter of 2020, when we were impacted with the COVID whole global scenario, we were around 25 million of average order book. That is what we used to book. That has now, in last 2 quarters, the pure impact of that is, last 2 quarters has been 19 million. However, the main reason for that is our heavy reliance on Asia. That in previous 2 investor calls also we had indicated. I would rather probably give more quantification on that, what is the impact of that is. We had around close to when $25 million of order booking we used to do, Asia used to take a heavy closure, which is in the range of around 14.5 to 15 million we would book consistently from Asia. So which has today dropped down to current quarter and even previous quarter to $1.8 million. So that is significant stress on the order booking from this, and it is not something to do with the business perspective or our area, but it is purely because of the almost entire market in this countries where we operate: Malaysia, Singapore, Hong Kong, Philippines, Greater China. Every market is closed internally as well as for other area, and these are heavy touch market, and the impact of that is we have seen. However, order booking position in this geography still remains steady. I think we were pipeline wise, we were having whatever pipeline we were having, we are still maintaining, and I think only the decisions which are actually postponed. So from that perspective, it gives us the now the markets are opening, and we are seeing from Australia and New Zealand, when it opened, it started flowing, and in fact, the statistics what I gave, if we were completely reliant and if we had not diversified, its impact would have been much greater. However, our European operation and our US operation did contribute for some of the shortcomings from Asia. However, further diversification and investment both in US and in Europe, we would continue to do, and which we have already done in last 2 quarters. In Spain, we have our people on footing in Spain, and we have increased in US. Probably we'll go ahead and do more diversification to counter any in the future. However, we are very confident with the market opening up in Asia. Post some of the countries have started opening up, and the borders are looking like they will be opening up for intra-country and inter-country travel, which would take the almost bottom level where we are there in the Asia from the order booking perspective. Only bounce back will be there from there. That is the confidence where it is stemming, that we will see positioning. And meanwhile, we had done some significant alliances and other work, which is also throwing good result, and healthy pipeline build-up we have seen. In fact, our pipeline in these times has grown over 20% of the average what we used to maintain. And in fact, in post-September also, we have seen a continuous improvement in our pipeline position. So that with that order booking position and the consequential revenue impact would start turning into a better position. That we see it. And from the operational perspective, we would continue to invest, as Mr. Raja, our chairman, just indicated, to invest into talent and probably strengthening our ops personnel to prepare for the orders which we are expecting. In fact, we are in advanced stages of negotiations in a few of those deals, and some of them are in the upward of $5 million. Few of them are there, and much more larger deals also we are negotiating. And that in current quarter, usually in every quarter we have at least one $5 million closures which we have, and we did not have that in last quarter. So from that perspective, the amount what we are negotiating and our sales teams engaged and what we are seeing, it is in the better side. So that is from the operational perspective and where we see. And to cater to last quarter, we had indicated interest in our defense and our HR proposition, and to strengthen that, we are opening our subsidiary in US for defense, specifically looking, and that very good pipeline we have seen. So that would be necessary for us too, and we are confident that will open up the kind of business lines which will add to our growth story, what we are looking forward for. Okay, I would pause for a here. Here I would pause.
Shall we open the floor for questions? Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone?
Yes, sir.
Sorry, sir, go ahead. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and one on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and two. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. Participants, you may press star and one to ask a question. Ladies and gentlemen, you may press star and one to ask a question. The first question is from the line of Lakshmi Sundaram, individual investor. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi, thanks. I'm looking for details on related party transactions for the quarter. What's the revenue contribution from the group companies?
See, it is in the normal course, madam. In fact, if you can wait for some time, we'll be publishing the related party transactions also in a few days.
Okay. Okay, fine. But at least can you let us know how is it when compared with the last year?
Compared to last year, on the same levels, madam, but there will be some, we have seen in the past, some ups and downs, because when our group companies go for expansion or for when we have new modules, we give them like any other customer. So that way there can be some ups and downs. So this quarter also there can be a bit up from the last quarter. So we will publish in
okay, that's,
yeah.
Sure. That's right. Okay, and my last query. And I understand that there are few employees under the roles of Ramco Cements being deployed under Ramco Systems. How is this transaction working between the two entities, and why is there such arrangement, please?
No, there is nothing like that. See, whomever we are taking, they are on our roles. Either we take them on regular employment, we have some consultant which we have hired as consultants.
Okay.
We do not have.
Okay, how many employees are there under that arrangement, please?
So you're asking a total number of employees, or are you asking a total number of
You
employees?
don't have such arrangement. Do you mean you don't have such arrangement there?
We don't have arrangement. But if you are referring to our transaction with one of the group companies, Ramco RITSL, so we outsource some of our contracts to them for implementation. So if you are referring to that, answer is yes. But they are not on our rolls. See, we get customer contracts in our name, and we give a portion of the implementation thing to them. This we have reported also.
Okay, you outsource to them. Okay, got it.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sanket from KDR Securities. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Yes, Sanket.
I'm speaking on behalf of KDR Securities. So just wanted to understand, like from past couple of quarters, our results are not like kind of in a steady state. They are unpredictable. So even as in the last call we had discussed, like from when can we expect the trajectory of the results to be more predictable? Like we can understand low growth and high growth, but till when do you think your results will turn out to be unpredictable?
Yes. Sanket, I think, as I explained earlier, I think it is more to do with our reliance, which I explained to the Asia market. And we were expecting when we informed in the previous quarter, they were looking like opening up and things would turn out. I think it is clearly the factor where heavy reliance was, and in fact still is there in that one. We have tried to diversify. So from that perspective, it should be with the opening up of the market. I think it is purely the impact of the COVID we had on our business. Now it is looking up. So we are expecting we should start seeing steady businesses in coming quarter.
So even in the past, like there have been many instances when the results have been very unpredictable. Like so, from now on, can we really expect you to go on the growth trajectory, or still there will be every time some kind of uncertainty in regards to results?
See, overall, it will be in the growth when it is in the even in the past. If you see the growth, also there are some spikes which will continue because of some of the heavy licenses in specifically into aviation deal. Some of them are heavy license deals, which are which can't be predicted in whichever quarter. There will be spikes upward even in the past if you have observed, and then it tapers over the period of time. So it is. I won't call it as unpredictable. It will be some spikes will be there in quarters when we get some licenses deal. Most of our businesses we have tried to, like HRP and some of the other lines of businesses, we have tried to move them onto the per employee per month basis, which means is SaaS model, what we call as, on basis of outcome and basis of flat revenue month on month. We have converted, but that is only our HCM businesses represent around 35%, I think, or 35% of our revenue. And rest of the area where we are trying to do, but like in aviation and sometime in the ERP, those licenses deals will come and it will, sometimes will have a spike.
And
but
also
the,
in your
negative or consistent quarterly flat trajectory, you have, the recent one what you have seen is the more outcome of what I explained to you earlier.
Got it. And in your opening remarks, you had mentioned about the going forward strategy, like there would be a strategy 2.0 from your end, which you are kind of looking to deploy, which will lead towards the higher growth and better numbers from your end. So can you elaborate on what exactly are you trying to do?
Yeah, I can say that. Basically, we are trying to reorganize ourselves so that, one of the things we found why, is basically the speed of our execution, and customers are now looking forward to, with the kind of business we're doing, they're looking forward to higher speed of execution, which will speed up our numbers coming into our company. And also, they are also looking forward to, when we're looking at digital transformation, they are asking us for help in terms of transforming, consulting work and so on. So based on this, like I mentioned, that we are looking at increasing our hire in technical and management people. Given that, and also increasing our pipeline. Today, our pipeline, if I may say, is around $500 million or something like that.
Yeah.
So we also have to now, given the key successes in some of our key verticals, we are now working towards how do we increase that pipeline dramatically. Because if the pipeline is dramatically increased, then like for example, last quarter we were relying on 2 major orders coming in. That got postponed, and then the unpredictability is set. So we need to be able to talk to about 5 or 6 such customers, and we have the ability to increase now the pipeline given our successful nature of our implementations in various business lines. So given that, the strategy forward is how do we increase the pipeline, increase our network of alliances like we have with Workday and Oracle, which is also starting to increase the pipeline dramatically. So all these effects will come in over the next 2 quarters, because for us, the clock cycle of our business is slightly slower than the new age business, where the clock cycle is faster. So it will take 1 or 2 quarters to stabilize, but I'm confident that given these alliances and successes we have, in the kind of demos and the deals which we are now starting to talk, I think the stability will start coming in 2 quarters. But we also have to internally also be reorganizing ourselves to make sure that happens.
Okay, but again, most of these points are related to the market trends. Like in terms of our internal policies, like are there any strategic goals or action plan which we have set in and which we'll look to execute and get the speed faster for execution of our orders?
Yes. So we are for example, if you look at for example, one of the bigger areas of our thrust is in HRP. I'm just giving an example, where we also process the payroll for some of our major customers. It is now giving us very good cash flow. So though our revenue is muted and things like that, you can see our cash flow is steady and it's continuing to grow as we grow. There, the support processes and all those sort of things, we need to speed up the improvements in our implementation, where we are heavily automating our implementation using AI technology. That fundamental strategy we are putting in place, hyper automation as we call it. And also we are automating our ability to do our BP operations and so on. So for each division, we have put together a series of steps which we will do to make sure that we speed up the clock cycle, rather than conventional thing. How do we learn from the new age businesses and speed up the rate of our implementation and our support to our customers? So that for each business line, we are putting together our strategies for them. And some of the businesses like defense and aviation are necessarily very lumpy, because the businesses are maybe 1 million, 2 million, sometimes they get to 5 million, 10 million. So there it is a little more traditional, but we find that we probably, to speed up the kind of orders we get and close and have better closure, we analyze and we probably get more industry management leaders who are also trusted. Otherwise, we were always relying on the power of a product to sell. But we need a little, that's why things were getting delayed. Now to reduce the cycle, we also need to have industry experts who are pitching our product. So that strategy also we are changing. Like this, these are little tweaks we are doing everywhere. And it is starting to show, but it will take a little more time to actually show you on the page.
Sanket, I'll give you some statistical evidences on that one. Like in the HRP businesses when we spoke, there are 2 fundamental things we have done, because we are very bullish on this business. So that will propel into significant growth. And for that, in HRP, we cover around 55 countries on our platform. So now we have ability to cover with the new thing what we call as the in-country payroll provider strategy. So we have acquired ability to service 100 countries on our platform. So that is the matter in what we were investing in last 2 quarters to get prepared for that. And as of now, we are in that range where we can service around 100 countries through our managed services. We have acquired that ability. Second, for the implementation in some very straightforward cases also, traditional way used to take around 5 to 6 months of period of time to implement. And that means cash inflow would take time. So we have released our Seed, what we call as the artificial intelligence enabled delivery tool, with which we have successfully in this quarter, 2 of our customers, instead of 5 to 6 months, we have gone live in 5 weeks time. So that we will be deploying into more and more countries within our platform, and we see there is a significant improvement on our implementation ability and speed, in turn helping us in revenue growth and cash flow, mainly into the cash flow. Similarly, in each one of them we have done, I think, the strategy and vision what we have set in forth is significant up from here, and good outcome within the short period of time to go to the greater extent due to I think I don't want to give the forward-looking statements, but fair to say that significant growth, that is what we are anticipating and we are prepared for, and that is what the preparations we are doing with reorganizing within ourselves.
Got it. And another thing, like if the Asia issue, can you highlight what exactly is not working for us since the last 2 quarters, or you can throw some more light? Like you had briefly mentioned the order book getting slow due to markets not open up. Apart from this, are there any particular issues in Asia, or we expect to reach back to that $14 million mark, or maybe even above that?
We absolutely will be reaching that or above, because it is not the product or any other issues what we have. It's purely related to COVID and countries in lockdown. I think it is the external pressure and our, we can't do anything unless waiting for these countries to open, and it will bounce back. I think there is nothing weakness in other than that in the market we have seen. It is more to do with the markets being closed.
And we hope maybe at least from January we can start traveling there and talking to them and closing orders, because many of them are sort of, they like to see the customer, they want to see physically the whole thing, the vendor, and they want to see physically the product. And even during implementation, they want people to be there physically. Remotely we are able to do for US, or we're able to get local people. Here, remote implementations are getting difficult, so customers are getting disappointed. So there's a whole lot of issues coming up in Asia compared to the same thing in things. So that has hurt us actually in many ways.
Even Asian customers, I think we saw it in there. Some areas they are delaying the go live. They are also postponing the things, due to the COVID impact, and sometimes they are asking to reconsider and do. There are some, all of those are related in the Asia, are more to do with the countries themselves are in the grip of this COVID. In some sense, that is the external force we are also battling.
Got it. So that's it from my end. Like again, I'll reiterate, like going forward, I hope we expect better results and no inconsistencies. Also, best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Rohit from Marshmallow Capital. Please go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity. My first question is on recurring revenues. I mean, given a good portion of our businesses on SaaS, with increasing implementation, I would have thought that the recurring revenues would only go up. And this is generally the trend in most SaaS companies, that the recurring revenues tend to go up dramatically with more and more implementation, because the base will remain stable for a longish period of time. but that is not the case in our company. Could you elaborate on this, please?
Yeah. See, if you can, Rahul, correct? Rohit.
Rohit, sir.
Yeah, Rohit. If you see the fact sheet, the recurring revenue has not gone up very greatly because in our case, it's a combination of the subscription revenue where we have gone on soft model plus the AMC. These two are the component of this one. And recently, last year, we have taken steps to move away from the license model in the HRP business and move to the subscription one. But if you see the other portion, BPO in December is around 1 million run rate per quarter billing. That we have now jumped by 50%. Current run rate is 1.5 million. That is also recurring revenue, though we classify under services because there is nothing to do with the license. So that way, you can see an improvement of 50% in the recurring revenue in terms of our payroll business.
So mainly, I think it is the SaaS one we are calling. Most of that is in the HRP businesses on that module. And actually, you will see, as RKC has mentioned, good improvement because we are going live. You can see that around 50%. So 1 million, which was in December 19, to around 1.5 million, which is around 500,000 we have added onto that business. Though it is services, it is related to our platform. Only on our platform we provide services. We don't provide anything elsewhere. Basically, customers who have gone live on our SaaS platform, and that is what bundled into this services.
But I think that at which it will grow, now that we have more alliances and more countries coming, we can probably say our recurring revenue will be
I'm so sorry, sir. I'm a little confused. So basically, so the recurring revenues that we show as recurring revenues in our fact sheet is a mix of AMC and subscription revenues, and then BPO services revenues, which also you say is quite recurring. So that why is there a disconnect in the sense that the BPO revenues is growing so fast, but the recurring revenues, as we see it as which is a combination of subscription and AMC, it's broadly stagnant. Why? I mean, if the BPO is growing, I would have assumed that the subscription revenue should be growing, right? So why is that number broadly stagnant? Because in other listed SaaS companies that we have in India, that number is growing quite rapidly at about 25-30%, the subscription revenues. So this disconnect is what is confusing a few of us in the call.
But there is no disconnect. See, it's our conscious shift towards more focus on the payroll, global payroll. That is why you are seeing more and more of, we are getting more and more payroll business that is reflected in the service revenue, where as we go live in more countries, implement the payroll model.
Just to give you an example, when we book for payroll, we are looking at that is a recurring revenue like a SaaS. But the point is we book it under BPO because we're also doing managed services for them. For example, if I do $5 per payroll per pay slip per month, it's not that and we are doing the BPO services. So that comes under the BPO rather than in the recurring revenue. In the recurring revenue, it's mainly our AMC and our older platform sales for our payroll, platform licenses for
ERP.
But more and more, most of our basically things are going towards managed services and this. That's why you're seeing a faster growth in the BPO.
See, actually, I will probably clarify and understand your question. That what you are saying is that if we are seeing the growth in BPO, we would expect similar growth in the license and recurring revenue. I think license and recurring revenue also has the components of all other areas. It's just not on the payroll. So most of the payroll, in fact, the one which unit is growing, that is what you are seeing most better indicator is on the BPO, services. If you see, that is the one which is also will grow. And you are right, it should also start reflecting in recurring revenue also to start going up, which is start staying.
Okay, so I mean, broadly, my understanding here is that whatever growth that we are seeing in our payroll cloud orders is being reflected primarily in BPO for now, And going forward, we will see some more growth in the... So the subscription revenue that we see in recurring, what does it comprise of? I mean, what portions of our entire business does it comprise of?
It is basically license revenue when we do AMC. Part of that is the AMC for those ones. And in ERP and other platform, logistics also there is a platform. Sometimes we are also there giving it on the subscription model, even in the ERP and logistics, that also gets reflected into that under the product in the recurring revenue. These are the three components which come.
And in the payroll, sometimes platform.
Sorry, payroll. Sorry, please continue. Yeah.
In payroll, sometimes we just sell the platform and not our BPO services. Then that will show, but that's only about 10-15% of the time now, and that will reflect.
So majority of the payroll cloud revenues or SaaS revenues is reflected in BPO. Am I correct?
Yes,
correct.
Okay, understood. So that was helpful. So second question is, could you speak about the Oracle and Workday programs, alliances that we have? How do we see that shaping up? Do you see that contributing materially going forward?
Absolutely. I think that is the to give a indication on Oracle and Workday. Recently, we just certified with the Workday for a country, and it has started for all other countries. And since then, we have seen significant jump in our pipeline perspective, and that is the range. I think over 30 to 40% increase we have seen both in the Oracle and Workday side, and that is only I would say in the past it was more on the after announcing the alliances it started moving. Now it has started growing much faster post our certification completion, and we issued the press release also last week announcing that one, and we see more collaborative work, more collaboration and joint propositions, joint bids in all regions. We are seeing it all across the company. We are seeing, and probably in next 2 quarters we will try to give the real impact of that one in the dollar term. What we have seen, increase in our order booking position because of these alliances as well. That would give the indication that it is on the track, and this based on the pipeline, I am giving the indication that it is looking very strong.
That was very helpful. So could you comment also on leadership? Do you see us appointing, does the board intend to appoint a new CEO to replace the outgoing CEO? So how do you see that going, transitioning over the next 2, 3, 5 years?
Currently, this is the model which have adopted the distributed leadership model, and the executive leadership team which is chosen from the leadership team here, and I am leading the leadership team. That is the model which we have adopted, and it is not the I will also invite Mr. Chairman to answer this question.
There was a big discussion on whether we have a CEO and all that. So we found that our business is fairly involved and complex with a lot of knowledge and so on and so forth. So we felt that any new CEO coming in and doing that will take a long time for us to settle the thing, and we have enough opportunities in our hand, and we don't have time to reorganize like that. So that is why we all felt that we've taken the brightest and best of our people and then reorganize and move forward and put in the proper procedures and move forward. And actually, I can already see in the last month or so, these very collaborative and see that I would like to.
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. So sorry. I think I lost you for a moment, but I got the gist of what you're saying. That was very helpful, sir. And the last question for now: could you speak about the bad debts in general? Are they permanent? Do you expect us to recover the money, and why is it so persistent in our business?
So basically, so persistent is see, we are a very high touch business. Especially some of the smaller companies which orders we took, trying to make sure that we have the order books coming and so on and so forth, which we have stopped now. So many of them go forward and they are successful, but some of them have difficulties in implementing the product. The organization is not. In this pandemic, some of the companies are closing down and things like that. We have been negotiating with them and trying to see how we can recover. But all these risks are there, so therefore we feel that it's prudent that we take these provisions, get into future trouble. It's very dynamic in this because we are all high touch, not like SaaS where people come and go. So that is the issue here. And also now what we are trying to do is to make sure that it's not persistent anymore, and we completely clean up this whole this problem set. We're also making sure that we don't take orders which we are not confident that the company can actually absorb what we are giving. We're not taking those orders, and we're also saying that we will not take orders unless it's a bigger company where we know they are mature. Anything less than $1 million we will not say, and we want commitment from them. So we are far more diligent in taking these sort of orders also.
See, just to give an indication, I think our average deal size also has significantly increased because of that, and we have reached around 1.6 million average deal, which used to be some time back around that 170,000. From there, this change is already done. We have in fact taken this cautious call to only deal with the larger companies and multinational companies, and that already is reflective in the order position for us. Around 1.5 million odd is the average deal size. So that is an indication that we have taken the corrective action there. However, due to some of the previous ones in ongoing implementation and what we have done, so it is prudent to make that provision based on our experience. What we do is we assess that risk at the beginning of the year with the auditors, and then assess what is required for the making provision in the books, and we take that call. But this is, we will more as we move forward. It will, we will with this whatever we have put in order, it should stabilize, and we should not see this, once we, completely move into the much larger customer. That is, continuously we are progressing towards larger and larger customer and opportunities.
So much for your detailed answers. I'll get back into the queue for my follow-up question.
Sorry?
Thank you. The next question is from the line of B. Suresh from Sri Sai Chinmay Auto Finance. Please go ahead.
Sir, we're expecting profit next
Suresh, your line is not clear at all. May I request you to speak through the handset?
Hello?
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 Yes.
Sir, we're expecting profit next quarter. Total pending orders next quarter, how much completion?
Pending order. Order book.
Order book, right?
We're expecting profit next quarter, sir.
You are hard to hear. I could not.
No, I guess she is asking whether we'll be making profit in the next quarter. It will be very hard to guess as of now, madam, because it depends on what type of orders we are going to get. If we are going to get decent license orders, it could turn the numbers. Otherwise, with the same level of expenditure and same level, it will be difficult to predict a profit in the next quarter.
All segments, total pending orders Next quarter, how much completion?
No, pending orders is around 180 million plus. US dollars. What we are talking is US dollars. So as on September, we have 180 million plus the order book, which will be executed over a period of average 3.5 to 4 years.
Next quarter, expected, sir. How much complete?
See, it is, recurring, I think overall consistent, based on that one, on the existing order, we are consistently for last few quarters in the range of 14.5 million odd, which we are into that range, I think around 14 million to 15 million. In that range we will be doing from the existing order we will be able to, serve, and rest we typically are from the new orders. That is how it has been in historically. So I will not be able to see that, but that is the historically, that is what it has been.
Expecting logistics, sir. Logistics software update, sir. What is the logistics software update?
For the logistics software, we had two major customers, which one went live in some of the regions which I said, which is there, which has gone live as also, and we are also seeing that business product line which we have delivered to that one, and we are executing those orders. That is, continuing with whatever indications we have given. It is going, that will continue in the same pace. So
just to give you a clarity, what we're saying is, in logistics, it is a new product line and meant for large customers. So currently we are implementing in a few very large customers, and some of them have gone live and some of them are expected to go live. So basically we are now focusing to make sure that we serve these customers well before we start accelerating the new orders on that. So basically now we are making sure that we package it well and get these things stabilized before we move forward. But the potential seems to be very good there too. Yeah. And we also have, we are also forming a new management team for that division separately, which we will talk about in the coming quarter.
Thank you. I request the participant to come back in the question queue. The next question is from the line of Bharat Sheth from Quest Investment Advisors. Please go ahead.
Hi sir, thanks for the opportunity. Sir, coming back to now Asia Pacific, which has just opened up, in the month of October. So in Asia Pacific, which were our business unit we were looking for a higher sales? Which business unit?
It is all the countries we operate in: Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, Philippines, Greater China, Hong Kong, and of course Australia and New Zealand. Australia and New Zealand has actually opened up in the end of October, because city by city, New Zealand is still not open for the outside world, but at least internal it has opened. It has opened for internal, but not for the external. Similarly for Victoria, it has not opened up externally. So same as Singapore or Malaysia or any of these markets is not open for external. This one more impacted. So hopefully, indication look like in middle of November onwards, it should actually start opening up for business from outside and intra-country as well.
My question was which business unit we were getting more business from this APEC market, which you are referring to?
In all three business lines, for all three business lines, mainly ERP, HR and payroll, and in aviation as well. We were having exposure of that in all across three business lines.
Okay. So in this quarter particularly, we have seen substantial decline in aviation deal, and Mr. Raja in opening remarks said that 2 deals were lost or deferred. So can you give some color, and how are we seeing where we were seeing a very high project pipeline. So if you can give some more color.
See,
aviation, one of the deal was aviation.
Yeah, there was some aviation deal and HR deal, but more than that we cannot talk about. But there are other deals we are discussing, and it's not that we have lost the deal, because wherever we demonstrate and show a product, people really like our aviation product, because it's one of the most mature, cheapest projects. But these are all large customers, they have a cycle of, so that is the issue.
However, the pipeline is very strong. To answer your second question, what we are seeing in the defense, the aviation deal pipeline is very strong. In fact, in advanced stages in many other areas, so it is fine. So I think we see that as a...
Can you give some color, I mean, the deal pipeline, I mean, size-wise for each business unit?
So, see, we cannot talk about individual deals or pipelines, because that will affect our deals also. That is the problem here. And because, it's a lot of it's NDAs, confidentiality and so on.
Sorry, sir, I am missing your voice, sir.
So basically, I can't give you the color on each deal or which deals and so on.
No, I'm not asking overall deal size, I mean, deal pipeline, I mean, for all these business unit.
So basically, if you say that will be difficult to talk about, because
I can give the overall percentage-wise and how we are seeing the health of the pipeline. I will be able to make a comment. I would not be able to give you the exact dollar-wise.
The health of the pipeline also will be appreciated, sir.
Yeah, I think we are seeing the good amount of growth. When I said indicated earlier from the average size which is increasing, it is in the from HR perspective we have seen good growth, and as well as from the defense perspective we have seen good pipeline addition. That is across all geographies. That would also surpass our diversification effort beyond Asia. So that we have seen in all geography-wise the growth in both these segments. And of course, in the logistics also, that being a very specialized product, we are being very cautious in which area we are going, because it is made for real large LSPs, and that segment also we are seeing good addition into that one. And ERP is a market which we are traditionally been there, and that we are seeing the digital transformation area into the ERP deals whichever are in the thing. The highest area is in these three areas which we have seen consistently growing in the past, I would say in the 3 quarters. We have seen even during the COVID consistent growth in this pipeline.
Okay. So, I mean, how was the month of October had gone, I mean, overall signing perspective? Some color, I mean, not, I mean, number or, I mean, overall to your satisfaction, or still, I mean,
I won't be able to comment that. I wish I would be able to.
Okay.
That would have an impact. But, I think there are few deals are signed and few are in negotiation. So that is all I would be able to divulge at this stage.
I mean, now coming to this bad debt provision, you said that it will be sustained. So when do we expect that overall the size of around 50 plus crore coming down over a period of time?
Maybe in the next...
Hello?
Basically, like we said, as the deal sizes go, and we come out of these older, newer, smaller deals and things like that, I think we can expect in the next 4 or 5 quarters, I think, it will start coming down. Yeah.
Till that it will remain and sustain at this level.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
That's the current estimate what we have. Yes.
Okay. So till that our top line will not, I mean, grow, I mean, substantially. Our bottom line improvement will be little difficult. Is that fair understanding?
Yes, but the cash flow will be strong because they are all non-cash, in some sense. Yeah.
I beg your pardon, sir?
It won't affect our cash flow.
No, I'm not asking on the cash flow.
This is the provision is and the more on the bottom line. I think the impact, the top line it will not have, and top line impact is a different reason, and that we see as it eases, that will start improving. So I think there are two factors coming together. That is what is you have seen in the quarter, and either on them working should start seeing difference.
Okay. So until that, till next 2-3 years, our tax rate also will remain in the little high area till, the whole past tax loss is not adjusted.
No, the tax rate, India, if you see in this half year, virtually there is no provision for tax because standalone results are in the negative. So there is neither provision for MAT nor requirement for providing a tax. In fact, we have reversed 0.1 crore of deferred tax. But overall, some of the subsidiaries are doing good. For example, if you take this quarter, US has done well. New Zealand, we have got one new order. So we have made provision for the current taxes. So it will depend on which subsidiary files. So the best, the provision will be dependent. But if we come back to the book profit scenario on the standalone thing, the MAT will continue.
Okay. And any just timeline you have in mind, this standalone will be able to really come back on positive side?
No, we initially thought we'll be able to wipe out all the accumulated losses in 1.5 years to 2 years. But H1 did not go well with the standalone thing. So it may take another 6 more, 2 to 2.5 years to absorb all the accumulated losses.
Okay. Thank you very much, and thank you. All the best, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Next question is from the line of TVK Vivek Kumar from Bestpals Research. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir. Thanks for the opportunity. Can you elaborate on the defense subsidiary or the company that you have opened, and how are you looking at that opportunity, and little bit light on defense in US?
Yes,
or is it like for what?
If you see aviation and defense product, we've been working at it for several years to perfect it to handle all the statutory requirements and all the defense requirements, to handle contracts and so on for many years. And we have been succeeding in getting orders from different subcontractors so far. The product seems to be fairly strong, where there's a lot of interest even for certain defense deals, which subcontracts want to take us directly with us in the US and other Western markets, for which they want us to have a sanitized subsidiary where it is basically, it's all defense cleared. American citizens and other Western citizens are actually completely defense cleared, and they run the company. And the board of directors will have to have some American citizens and so on. So that defense subsidiary will be a subsidiary of our US North American subsidiary, and that will be completely isolated and from security reasons and so on. And all the implementations, everybody will have to be done by US citizens or other citizens of that country, whichever country they are going to. So that is what we are setting up, and there's going to be quite a good pipeline for that also. This will also help us get orders from other systems integrators and different sub integrators, because we will have more security clear people, and people, it will be easier for them to make decisions. Today, we are getting decisions, but the decisions are getting delayed by 2-3 months, because they want to make sure that all these things are in place before they give us an order. Now, with all these things, that we can cut short that cycle time of getting orders, and some orders we can't even participate today. Now we can start participating. This is how other companies which are friendly to the US are set up, and I think they're okay with us also from India.
Okay. So the second question is a little bit longer one. So if you look at, I've been invested in the last 4 years in this company, 5 years actually. So what I've been seeing is you have been rewinding your product, trying to increase your order size, go to better customers, better markets, and like in logistics you created a new product in the sense product line, and in HRP you have done this connector with Workday and this thing, and aviation you have been established. So can we say with a good probability, I'm not saying there's no guarantee anywhere, but good high probability that from this 20-25 million order winning? Can we go to the next level? Because you also said in some of the previous calls that we don't want to chase orders without establishing and stabilizing our all aspects of business with respect to customers, because it's a word of mouth business. So are we there yet, or we are still in that investment phase where we have a lot of things to be done for the next 1-2 years before we go ahead and start growth? I don't know if I made myself clear.
Yeah, you're clear. In a few product lines we are there. In 1 or 2 product lines we will take at least another quarter to get there. So now it's a question of execution by the team, I feel, in some of the product lines. For example, like in aviation, there is one major implementation going on. I think, and there are a few major orders they are negotiating. So given that, I think the aviation can start really growing at least in the next 1 or 2, at least by the last quarter or quarter after that. They're completely ready. And our HRP and payroll product is actually getting ready rapidly. But with this hyper-automation, we can even get faster. The logistics products will be ready for such a accelerator press and the team we are forming and everything, I think by probably first quarter of next financial year. I think we are still at least 5 to 6 months away from being there. In the year that will be there. But to hyper accelerate it, like I said in the last quarter, we have to actually get the modern user interface and all those things going. And it's a very large project, so we are working on the fundamental issues on how do we transfer our existing UIs to the modern UI and experience as rapidly as possible. So a lot of homework is going on. I think though we were anticipating that we can actually do it a little faster, it turns out that we need to do a lot more background work before we can get that change going. But having said, despite that, we are actually in with some very good orders. So that can also grow, but to get to the level we want it to grow, I think we need to get that technology experience coming through, which will also percolate to other products. So that is where we are in these 4 product lines.
Got it. Thank you. Sir, one small request, if you can put up a presentation little bit, if it is possible, outlining your different products and competition like other IT companies do, product companies do. Like, I'm not saying you should do the way Intellect does, but Intellect has keeps putting up presentation on what are the product lines, what are the competitors, what are they trying to do with each product, so that it's easy for investors to to understand and track on a consistent basis. It's my request. That's the only thing.
That's a very good idea, actually. What we will do they put it on their website, or is it for such presentation?
Yeah, they share with us this every day as a presentation, that they just put up all the product lines, their strategy and the competition, and they discuss questions on that on the pipeline, and they discuss questions on that on the con call, so that it becomes easy for us to also ask the right questions, and you can pivot us in the direction that you want us to see the company.
So we will understand what Intellect is doing, and we'll try to see how we can learn from that.
This is the example I am giving. There may be much more better ones which you are doing. I just thought what I know I will just try to see.
Sure. Okay. Right. We will study that and see. Maybe next time we can put together a small thing and mail it to you or something like.
So that we know what you are trying, so that we can ask the questions that in the direction that you want us to see, that we can understand things better.
Yeah. That's a good point here.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. All the best.
Thank you.
And do you have any more questions?
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll take that as the last question. I will now hand the conference over to the management for closing comments.
So, thank you, everybody, and I appreciate the questions and your understanding. And I hope we will be able to, give you steady and predictable performances in the coming quarters. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. On behalf of DAM Capital Advisors, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us. You may now disconnect your lines. Thank you.